Hey everyone, Tony here from RcHelpDotCom, and quite often I get asked, how do I wire up two motors, two speed controls, and two batteries, or even just one battery, to a plane, kind of like the, what is it, the DC-5, I think is what 64 Impala was trying to build. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. As you can see here, I've got two speed controls, two motors. Just pretend that these are for prop motors. This is actually an EDF and this is a helicopter, but you guys get the point. You got two batteries. These need to be the same size, not like I have here. Remember that. You've got your receiver. You need a Y harness and a small thing heat shrink. So, and pretend like there's a plug on this. Alright, the first thing you need to do is get your motors mounted and get your speed controls and everything mounted. That way it's on the plane, you know where it is, you know how long everything has to be, and you know everything will reach. But with, you know, a 6-inch or 8-inch extension Y harness, you shouldn't have a problem. The easiest way to do this is with a Y harness. You can cut these wires, cut one and then separate the insulation on the other wire and actually splice it in. But I'm not going to show you guys that right now, maybe just a little bit later. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to zoom in and show you guys exactly how to wire this thing up. Okay, on this plug right here, you've got three wires, black, red, white. On one of these plugs from the two speed controls, you need to unplug one of the red wires. It's really simple on these style connectors. Just get you an X-Acto knife, stick it right in here, and pry that up. Once you pry that up, then just go ahead and pull your wire out. Pretty simple. I'm just going to bend it up because I'm working with fewer hands here. Once you get it that far, all you got to do is just pull the wire out. Just like that. Now, that is a hot wire. You do not want to leave that wire just hanging bare. You do want to insulate it somehow. That is what the heat shrink is for. Instead of cutting that wire off, because you may want to use this a little bit later, just get your heat shrink, get you a lighter, and just shrink it on there. Actually, I got that just a hair too hot. Once that's shrunk on there, it's protected. You won't have any shorts. Now, what you need to do, get your Y harness, and then it's just simple plug and play. Plug this one in, and then plug this one in. Now that you've got your Y harness connected, you need to grab your receiver and just plug this in to the throttle port. On mine, it's right next to the battery port. Just like that. On this receiver here, the signal wire, the white wire, will always go towards the label. The ground wire, or the dark wire, will always go towards the bottom. And going from top to bottom on this one is auxiliary, gear, rudder, elevator, aileron, throttle, and then battery, or your bind port. And as everybody knows, bind port just takes a little bind plug. Now the only thing you got to do is just, once you have it on your plane, plug in the batteries, bind your radio, all the normal steps. That's the simple way on how to do this. Now, what if you just wanted to use one battery? That's actually not as hard as a lot of people really want to make it. There's a couple different ways. One, I could take this and wire the speed control directly to this plug. That way there's only one battery plug for both speed controls. Black to black, red to red, that's wiring in parallel. And that'll work. It'll work perfect. But if you ever want to use these separate again, you're going to have to unsolder all that, and it's just kind of a pain. But it's also a pain to make your little harness adapter. Okay, let's say you guys want to use just one battery. Here's how you're going to wire up the little adapter wire. As you can see here, we're going to say that this little square is just like this male Dean's plug, and these two are going to be like this female Dean's plug. As you can see, on the bottom you've got the positive, on the top you've got the negative, and it's really easy to wire these up. you just go positive to positive, positive to positive, and then negative to negative, negative to negative. That's how you wire them up. This can get a little tricky, actually soldering those on, but it can be done by even the most novice person as long as you practice. So guys, I kind of hope that answers your question on how to wire up 2 speed controls to 1 receiver. I highly recommend this Y harness. That's going to make your life so much easier. You're not going to have to cut and splice and solder and heat shrink and tape and blah blah blah. But if you just can't get one of these, what you can do is basically you're going to make this joint right here. You've got 2 wires that are going into 1 wire. And if you want to cut both of these and then resolder both of them and then solder the end back on, that's fine. But that's 6 wires you're soldering together. And I would suggest, or the way I would do it, is I would cut one of these plugs off and then strip back the insulation about 1/8 of an inch. And then I would tin all 3 wires. And then on this one, I would take and separate these wires. That way the insulation is not holding them together. And then down here, I would take my X-Acto knife and I would actually take everything out of the plug. That way I've got each individual wire. And then you take the wire and then you just score it and then pull it apart. Now you want to take and lay your other wire to where it's facing just like this on there. That way, once you solder it to where you splice that into, now you can take a piece of heat shrink and slide it down and heat shrink both of those wires at the same time. And again, you'll get a joint that's going to look just like that. It's actually pretty easy to do. I don't like cutting both plugs off. I'd rather just strip the insulation back a little bit. My soldering iron has actually got a real small tip on it, and I could go smaller if I wanted to. So, I mean, it makes it a little bit easier for me. You guys may have a soldering iron that has this massive tip, and you may have to cut. So, guys, I hope that helps. If you have any more suggestions on videos, just let me know. I'll see about making them. Subscribe to me. Come over to RcHelpDotCom, right as you see right there on the screen, and let me know what you think about my page. Let me know what more you'd want to see on it. So, guys, thanks for watching. We will see you guys in the next video.